gives me great pleasure to introduce you guys to Valentino from the band of Mice and Men. Welcome, Valentino.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. Fan of your band for a long time.
Thank you.
In fact, it's quite surreal being in this position of chatting to you.
Sick, man. Thank you.
So I've been following you for quite some time, and obviously this opportunity come up. You've got let's get the plug out of the way. You've got a new album coming out, or
Yep, Tether in 2 days.
2 days.
It's out in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, we're really excited. We got
Yeah.
a music video dropping for our single Into the Sun.
Nice.
And then the rest of the album is out for everyone to listen to. It's been a long process for us, writing and kind of then waiting to release it. We turned the album in much earlier this year, so we're happy to finally get it out and finally share it.
That's nice. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to hear the whole thing, and I'm really
Sick.
enjoying it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I love Into the Sun, the track that you
Cool.
mentioned there.
Thank you. That's probably one of our favorites on the album for sure.
It's just absolutely. I mean, the whole album's solid, but that is a great track on there.
Thank you. Yeah.
I loved War Paint when I first heard that as well back in
Awesome. Yeah.
a few months ago when that.
That's a well, we call that one like the classic of Mice.
Yes.
We love the barn burners, the with the crazy drums and the awesome riff. Like, yeah, we love that one. Yeah, the album kind of, I feel like I'm stoked because the album has something for everyone. We took a step outside of ourselves, sort of, and because we self-produced it, we self-produced the last record, we wanted to figure out how to level up and how to kind of take what of Mice and Men has always done and amplify it in a way that only really we would know how to do, being the songwriters of every album.
Yeah.
So for the 8th record, Tether, we really just wanted to challenge ourselves to write the best of Mice music that we can. And might sound a little cliche, but taking the reins of doing the recording ourselves, doing the producing ourselves, and even doing the artwork myself, we really wanted to make this a package that was made 100% by Of Mice and Men. And this is what Of Mice and Men is in 2023 going into 2024.
I mean, that's amazing. That was one of the things I was going to sort of bring up. Like, I did notice from the bio and everything, literally, you guys were self-contained for this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. With the help of the label, of course, but doing all the creative parts ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was really important for this record because we wanted to make a statement. You know, I feel like it's hard when a band, well, I guess I don't know how other bands do it that are on their 8th album. And I don't know many bands that are that deep into their career either. But I feel like what it felt like the natural move for us, because it has to be us. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in so many ways it's just important to see the creativity from every angle and be able to incorporate that and make something that's truly special and band made for the fans. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we make it for us because we're the first fans of the band that get to hear the music while we're writing it. But to be able to put our name on it and to know that it was all made from us was a really important thing that we wanted to do, coming back from so much time off. You know what I mean? We haven't come back, and we played one festival in the last 1,300 days. We haven't been back since COVID shut everything down.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're really stoked, and we wanted to have our album be 100% us when we came back, and to show our fans that this is who we are. Yeah. This is what we sound like in this era, and to, you know, come out to the shows. We were about to leave for Canada or a North American tour with Bullet for My Valentine, and then we have a European and United Kingdom headliner that we're doing on the end of November and beginning of December. Yes. And all that you can find at ofmicetickets.com.
Yep. Got it all in there. It's great.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I was going to mention your tour and everything because I'm hoping to make it along to a show on that tour, because I'm a fan of Caskets, who are one of the support bands on that.
Awesome. Yeah. So are we. We love them.
And yeah, no, it's looking good. It's looking good.
Yeah, man, we're stoked.
going back to the album, obviously, just going back on the point of you guys doing everything yourself and all that kind of stuff. From obviously like your eight albums in, you said you wanted to sort of produce this so the fans would be like, this, you want to give them, this is 100% Mice and Men.
Mhm.
What challenges did you have with that? Because from when I used to be in a band years ago, and we were self-produced,
Mhm.
we produced 3 albums by ourselves, few sort of assistant people coming in here and there, but not anything like significant. But I always felt that um like taking any of the hits, taking any, not like hit songs, but like as in the sort of negative press, do you feel
Mhm.
that's going to affect you more because you've put so much of more of yourself in it? There's no, it is 100% you guys. It's not like, I don't know what the percentage was before, but say like the producer was 20% the sound, and then the rest
Right.
guys and all that kind of stuff. How have you sort of had that change of I don't know, perspective?
No, I get what you're saying. I don't think so. I feel like we've always been the lead songwriters for our music.
Yeah,
So we've always kind of bared that burden of a shitty comment on YouTube, or, you know, somebody that is disappointed with something that is not part of their palette that they enjoy.
yeah,
But that, I think that just comes with being an artist and sharing your art. I feel like it's not for everyone. It's not meant to please anybody, really. It's meant to please ourselves first and foremost. And it's kind of like a funny thing being a musician, because we don't really like write songs for the fans. We write it for ourselves and what inspires us, and what we want to go and get on stage and play live for years to come. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I feel like it becomes a bit more of an arduous process, because there isn't a like somebody that we're paying to tell us the right thing to do. Because a lot of the times in the past, we default to like, well, what does the producer want? We'll
yeah,
just do that, because none of us can agree,
yeah,
like, but we don't have that. We didn't have that with these last 2 albums. So I feel like we had to come to those conclusions ourselves. And I think that's a great challenge to have, to be able to speak the same musical language as um our partners and bandmates and brothers, and you know what I mean. Like it becomes a more meaningful process, I think, when we can't just default to the guy that we're paying lots of money to tell us what to do.
yeah,
Which, it's never really been where they tell us what to do, because we still write all the songs and we still do that, but we turn to them because they're like a coach, like we're expecting them to help coach us and
yeah,
help steer our ship in the right direction. And we didn't get the opportunity to do it on Echo because the world was shut down.
yeah,
So we jumped into this new venture of self-producing, self-recording, and doing all that. And it felt like the right move to do it again, in a way that we're going to actually get out and tour this album. We're
yeah,
going to be able to deliver this to the fans. And that's another reason why we wanted to handle the artwork ourselves and do everything ourselves, because we want it to be, when we are back in people's faces, we are 100% of Mice and Men. There is no gimmicks. There's no, not the producers are gimmicks, but it's 100% all our
yeah,
work.
yeah,
And they are seeing what we can do as a band, and they can support it or not, or,
yeah,
whatever they want to do. But we felt like it was important, especially in this day and age, to promote something that was fully ourselves and
yes,
our work, and 100% made by Mice and Men. And we're putting this for our fans to be able to go out, go on tour again, and be back in venues, and to be back, promoting music and doing what we love.
nice, nice. I was gonna talk about the artwork as well because you did that, didn't you? The album art,
Yep.
everything.
Yeah.
Um, so from your perspective on that, what I mean, I'm looking at it, I can see multiple things. I think that's probably the point, isn't
That's the point. Yeah, that was the
it?
point. It's open for interpretation for everybody.
Yeah,
And when we were writing the album, we kind of felt like it's a it's a much more hopeful and emotional album than Echo was. Echo was a very visceral It's a very painful album, really. We experienced quite a bit of loss um in our families and with our careers and stuff like that. And it really kind of turned us on our heads. And we felt like this album, Tether, the album name Tether it's being like an anchor to something that's, you know, a kite flailing in the wind
Yep.
that needs some sort of stability and being that. And I feel like in doing the artwork myself, and when we came up with the, obviously we didn't we didn't like invent the Rorschach idea, but we kind of wanted to make it as like a test
Yeah.
to our fans and the people that buy the album. And on vinyl we have it on big pages, so you can actually kind of like
Nice.
look at it in high definition and everything like that, and see that each song has its own painting of a Rorschach. And it's meant to I guess ask the question like, what do you see here, how are you interpreting this, and make it more of a thoughtful process than instead of just like, oh, I would just want to consume this album real quick and I'm just gonna
Yeah.
take it all in now and then be done with it. Like it it to us, music means more than that. And we can't really dictate how people will consume the art that we create. But if we're thoughtful with the artwork and we're thoughtful with the meaning and the message behind it, then maybe the listener will be that much more thoughtful in how they are understanding the music, understanding the art that we're putting forward to them, and they can create a deeper connection with it. Because that's how I feel like that's how we've always, when we were growing up and collecting albums and doing stuff like that, like, you know, I would, my favorite part was opening up the album and reading the liner notes and reading the lyrics and seeing the thank yous and getting a look into that. And I feel like there's been a bit of a disconnect with streaming services to do that. And I'm not knocking them. I love Spotify. I use it every day.
Yeah.
But I do miss that big emotional connection with buying an album. And I still do that for myself, but I can't force our fans to do that if that's not what they're going to do, you know? So it's important for us to kind of create a package that can inspire them to think deeper about the music and don't just take it for face value, because it's not made to be consumed at face value. You know, they're very deep emotional songs, and the artwork needed to kind of match that. And it needed to hopefully open people's minds to understanding the art a little bit more than just, you know, streaming a song and being like, okay, that's going on the playlist, or I don't like that song, whatever. You know, like there's something to like about all of it, I feel like. And yeah, we just felt like that was an important move to make for us on our 8th album. You know, we've made so many records at this point that we, truth be told, we never thought about it that deep. But we also never had the opportunity to, because usually when we make records, we're on tour 9 months out of the year, and then the other 3 months are spent in the studio making the record. So so we actually had time to be a little more creative than we usually could be, and deliver something that we feel like we're very, very proud of.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, it's like, I love that personally. I love that, like when you say you get an album and you've got like the vinyl. We talked about it just before I hit record. You know,
Mhm.
I've got boxes and boxes of vinyl all around me at the moment.
Yeah,
But I sit there and I'll listen to the album, but I'll be looking through the artwork. I'll be looking at
of course.
liner notes.
It's
Yeah,
almost like a lost art, you know. And I feel like obviously we're older, so we remember before streaming. We remember audio in lo-fi formats and stuff like that, where it's just different. And maybe we'll never get back to that again as a society, or as a consumer society. But if artists are making art that can be consumed in a way that is kind of like the old generation of how things kind of were, I think that's something that's important. And it is a bit of a lost art to be able to think of it from that perspective.
yeah,
And it was just important to us to give something to our fans and to do something ourselves and create these challenges, because we could just as easily pay an artist to do it, you know what I mean? Or pay a producer to make the record sound good. But we took it upon ourselves to do that because we felt like I said, not many bands get to their 8th album. So the fact that we're on our 8th album, we're already working on our 9th,
Yeah.
like that's incredible. And it's really made possible by the fans appreciating and listening to the music. And so for that, we wanted to give them the most honest version of the band that has been done to date, for sure.
Nice. No, it's awesome. Like I said, I mean, like I didn't know you had different pictures for each song and everything. I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, definitely. So each song has its own painting that is supposed to evoke something that you want to do. We're also dropping an experience, a Spotify experience that I actually haven't seen another band do this yet. So we're pretty excited about it. But when the album comes out, we're going to have a whole, like, there's a page that Spotify has been like creating with us that includes all this artwork, and you get to go through color palettes, images, and kind of take your own Rorschach test.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be really cool. Like I said, being super involved in the creative aspect of everything for this album was really important to us. So we really wanted to have something that's a little more than music, you know, because music to us is not just music, you know, it's an experience. It's a release, it's a relief, it's a escape. It's something more than just streaming a song and being done with it. You know, it's a whole experience. And so we're really excited to roll this album out, and we're excited for our fans to get to listen to it and, you know, enjoy it.
Yeah. No, and I'm sure they will. I mean, it's like
Thank you.
The 3 tracks you hit people with already have been a great sort of taster for what is to come on in 2 days.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's tracks like people haven't heard yet, which is Shiver. I really love that track as well. And Enraptured as well.
Oh yeah.
A great track.
Yep. Dude, we're really excited, man. It's kind of cool because a lot of the times I feel like when the albums are rolling out, like you'll get the best songs as the singles, right?
Yeah.
But we really made it we did it on purpose to they are every song is the best song. There were so many more songs that were on this album. We refined it down to these 10, and we felt like any one of the songs could have been a single, but that's where we leave it to the label, because they're the label and they handle a lot of the rollout and the marketing and everything. But we're really proud to say that the singles are not the best songs on the album, and you need to go listen to the album because the best songs you haven't even heard yet. And so that's kind of an exciting thing from an artistic perspective, to feel so strongly about what may not be the most marketable material, or however, whatever they do with their end and all that stuff.
Yep.
As far as musicians are concerned, we're really excited for everyone to hear the rest of the album, because there's still so many heaters on there that it's going to be, I really think it's going to be a great listen to all of Mice fans.
Definitely.
And hopefully new fans too, you know, like that's always a bit of the point, is to try and create a new audience, you know, and try and reach new ears and have new people that haven't heard the band check it out, or maybe they've heard people talk about it, or they haven't listened to us since they were in high school, or they're, you know, whenever it was, that they can tune back in and feel like, and know that this is Who of Mice and Men, who we are, you know what I mean? And it is a very honest representation of who the band is.
Yeah, definitely. It's got hints of the past. It's got hints of your sort of evolution over the years, and it's got some new sort of avenues as well to sort of
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Definitely.
explore and everything, which is great, which is why I love this album so much. It's like bands that go long into the career, you do sometimes get some, you know, you get some surprise albums that are like, wow. You can get some stinkers, don't get me wrong.
Totally.
You know, but it's just the process.
We've done it too, you know, and that's kind of why it was so important for us. Like it really just kind of like, we were like, oh my God, like we've made so much music. Like how are we going to evolve our sound? And I think in a way we've taken to finding more sonic textures and delinearizing songs, where we used to just think of, okay, well, let's write the drum part and then we'll write the guitar part, or we'll write the guitar part and then we'll write the drum part. And then it's like, well, what if we start with like a cool sound that's on a synthesizer, or a cool sample from a record, or a cool, you know, something from this, and extrapolate on that and go down a rabbit hole and realize, oh, this totally sucked. Let's dial it back. Let's try this. Oh, that's cool. And I don't know, it was a challenge. And I think it's a challenge that only we could take ourselves down. You know, I don't see a producer that could have worked on this record in a way that was so involved as to how we were in creating it. And I think if we were to work with a producer again, it would have to be somebody that felt like they could add something to what we can already do ourselves. And the reason, a big reason why we felt like we were able to self-produce is because we've worked with some of the greatest rock and metal producers in our, you know,
Yeah.
David Bennett, Howard Benson, Joey Sturgis, Josh Wilbur. Like these are people that have produced millions and millions and millions of records sold. And so we use them as coaches, where we took what we learned and we kind of funneled it into our work process and our workflow, and really kind of took those challenges upon ourselves to create something that we feel like is the purest version of Mice and Men that we could make.
No, that's really cool. I really love that, and the fact you've learned from all these producers over the years, and you've taken bits, you've taken aspects of that. Like I know a lot of musicians that haven't done that. They've worked with lots of producers and big producers, and they've not taken anything on from it, not learned anything from it, which I find
Right.
very strange, because they're the people that can kind of mold a sound that you may not.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And they've acquired, you know, so much skill and experience from everything that they've done,
Yeah.
that, you know, anytime we've worked with a producer, we've really made it a point to learn. And I feel like we all really appreciate the experiences that we've had, good and bad. You know, we've butt heads with a lot of producers. We're very uh
Go on.
we're well, we're not we're definitely not difficult to work with, but we're very passionate about our music.
Yes.
And we're very passionate about what the sound of Mice and Men needs to be, because we've always been the dictator of that sound.
Yes.
Right. And the producer comes in and helps us branch out, or helps us maybe make something a little more marketable, or make something to bring their coaching techniques and stuff into it. And I feel like um over the years, like doing that, and we were kind of forced to do this because of the COVID lockdown, and we weren't allowed to go to studios, and producers weren't doing stuff, and so we just kind of took it upon ourselves. But then we realized, like, who better to make this than us, because we know the sound, we're on our 8th album, we don't want to change it up, we love our sound, it still excites us, we love breakdowns, we love big melodic emotional choruses. You know, like the quintessential of my sound has and will always be the four of us making that, starting from an instrumental and molding it into whatever the song ends up being. That that it just kind of felt like the natural step and the natural challenge. And we still butt heads with each other, you know, with the ideas, but no idea is a bad idea unless someone can come up with a better idea. So
Exactly.
it really is, you know, if it's not going to be a better idea, well, then, you know, so it's fun, man, to be able to kind of renew and refresh the band on an 8th album is a pretty crazy thing to have accomplished. And to us, it really feels like that's how it happened. And you know, we feel very fortunate that really the fans allowed us to do that, you know, because the fans are still listening. There are millions on Spotify, and one of our records just went gold.
Nice.
And
Congrats.
yeah, dude, it's just crazy. You know, it's a crazy feeling to know that our fans are still supporting us this deep into our music career. And so we owe it to them to continue creating to our fullest extent.
Excellent. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you, if that's all right.
Sure. Yep.
So I know you're on a tight schedule and you've got a tour coming up in 2 days.
Yep.
So,
Today's like big press day too. So we're like I got a couple more after this one.
Okay, cool. I won't keep you much longer. I've just got a couple of
Yeah,
questions.
no worries.
So first question. These are sort of my typical sort of like ending questions, but if you could pinpoint three albums that were the most pivotal for you in your life, so not necessarily the favorite album, not necessarily,
Uh-huh.
but the one you might have heard, like a random album by band, whoever it is, that
Yep.
inspired you to play drums, that inspired you to be in a band, or inspired you some other aspect of your life. Could you
Yep.
point three, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
I feel like I grew up really loving punk rock.
Nice.
And I would have to say like probably Green Day, Dookie
Oh,
was a big album for me because it was three dudes that just played their instruments and there's no frills about it. It's just balls to the wall, punk rock, fun, talking about being a teenager and stuff like that. That was a big one. I think the record that introduced a lot of groove to me was Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire.
nice.
And that was one where I felt like I learned so many of those songs on drums because the drums aren't crazy, but the music is just so powerful. The guitar riffs are so powerful. The vocals are so visceral that it was something that, like four strands of rope can create something that moves entire nations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that was a hugely pivotal. Rage Against the Machine is hands down like my favorite band of all time.
nice.
I think what they've been able to do with music and to unite their fans and unite audiences and people and bring awareness to world topics that people don't want to talk about are is really important. And I guess the third album, I got to do something metal, probably Slipknot,
Okay.
where I was when I'll never forget. I was in the back of my friend's pickup truck going to a skate park, and his sister was driving us to the skate park, and she was like, "Yo, this record just came out. You guys are gonna lose your minds." And I literally did. I could not believe what I was hearing. I had to dub it on tape, and I had her dub it for me, and I was obsessed with that first Slipknot record when it first came out. And it was something that I just never knew the boundaries could be pushed like that in music, from the drumming to the guitars to everything, like it was just something that seemed so impossible to have been created by humans.
Yeah.
And then they all wore masks and were inhuman. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
So and then later in life we got to tour with them and bro down with them. And um that was a super full circle moment to be able to go on tour with them and hang out and talk about those instances. And Clown is such an inspirational dude. He would hold like meetings and he would talk about how important music is and how important it is that everyone is on this tour and everyone's working together. And it was a really powerful experience to feel it in a visceral way when I was a young teenager,
Yeah.
and then to get to experience it as an adult and see what that level of musicianship and artistic creativity can create and inspire, and yeah, so I feel like probably those three albums. That's a pretty wide gamut, but
It's
I
good.
guess you can kind of see the age
Yeah.
evolution there too.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. But I mean, Slipknot, one of my favorite bands as well.
Yeah,
Obviously, I was like turntablism. I've loved the new metal movement. That was my
of course. Yeah,
thing. And I was in a band in the UK, like the new metal movement we had here. And like seeing another DJ in a heavy band, was,
totally.
like that was the one thing that was just like great, because we had Deftones and all that kind of like,
Yeah,
they had DJ elements. They're in the Incubus, but yeah, it was just Slipknot really took it that extra level, fucking stratospheric.
dude.
So,
Sid is the coolest motherfucker ever, man. Like he would just come up on our bus whenever, and like he'd have his little portable turntable and he'd just be like scratching like all the time. He'd be just DJing with his little JBL speaker and his like portable turntable, and he'd just be like chilling in our back lounge, just like scratching, going insane. And we're like, dude, you're like always doing. He's like, man, you always gotta practice. You always gotta do that. And we were just like, man, that's what a cool. They're just such a huge inspiration to us, seriously. Like, and the way that they've been able to make a career out of such an alternative lifestyle and music that is not for everybody, you know.
No.
But to be that cool, and to be that they're totally not as scary as they are with their masks on. When their masks are off, they're the sweetest dudes.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, final question for you.
Yep.
What are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not doing what you do,
There's
there are
things other than music. I always kind of answer that the same way.
I don't know.
No, man, I don't know. It's all music. My whole life is music. It's I love that. I try and game, but I suck at gaming. The guys are all really good at gaming. No, man, I love music. You know, I love watching music videos. I love finding new artists on Spotify, and finding cool records at record stores and everything. Like it's my
hobby right there. I love that.
Yeah, it's 100%. My whole life is music, man.
Beautiful.
There's really nothing else.
Cool. Well, Valentino, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Good luck with the album. Out in 2 days, people. It's called Tether. They're out on tour in the UK end of November into December. They're playing pretty much every major city, I think, in the UK.
Yep. And you can get tickets out of micetickets.com. Oh, and tickets and VIP are available there. And our album Tether is out at sharptonerecords.co. And it's also available on Amazon.
Yep.
And we're Empiricon, and wherever anyone buys music or anything like that.
Yep.
And pick it up. You're going to want this artwork, large and in charge. I made sure the vinyl booklet is 10 big pages of artwork. So pick it up. And yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.
Cool. Thank you, man. Have a good evening and good luck with everything.
Awesome. Thank you. You too.